I, 35-year-old female, and am longtime friends with a married couple, 40-year-old male, Land, 42-year-old female. I've been distant since the pandemic when their daughter was born, and they just confronted me about it about an hour ago. I started distancing when the husband started judging me for not making my marriage work. There were extreme reasons I left that I never really broadcast for my children's sake. Some was very public, which I addressed, but the rest I've kept quiet. But the most recent issue is that I lost a child when I was 18. She was born alive, but survived only a few hours. I chose a name for her that I confided in them that was very special to me. A play on family names, but appropriate for a very unexpected and traumatic loss. They used the name for their daughter. I would have had no issue with this, but I found out in the Facebook announcement, which brought back some very painful and traumatic memories. I didn't say anything, I don't own the name, but I felt very disrespected that they chose not to even give me a heads up, especially as many in our friend circle know where they got it, and I was put on the spot as far as my reaction, so I just distanced myself from them. Well, about an hour ago, I got a message from him that was very angrily worded. Apparently, he had been talking to a mutual friend about me and how I've shown no interest in their daughter, and he mentioned that them using the name without a heads up was very painful for me, and that it had put me on the spot because a lot of people had been asking for my reaction. He called me selfish and an for trying to sully their joy with my pain and making everything about me, and that I should just get over it. She passed years ago. In my opinion, losing a child is something you never truly get over. And I was never rude, I never spoke badly of them or to them, I won't talk about it with anyone. I've just chosen to protect myself and remain distant. I wanted them to enjoy their daughter. They struggled with infertility for years, and I am happy for them. It's just painful for me, and I felt very disrespected with how they handled it. Am I the idiot? Was I wrong to create distance in a 20-year friendship over this? Or was my reaction reasonable? For your information, they use both the first and middle name down to the spelling. The only difference is the last name. The name was a made-up mix of my mom and grandpa's names, and the middle name was my nickname from them as a child. My mom passed when I was a child, and my grandpa, who raised me after mom passed 3 months before my daughter did. Now for an update, so everyone's over at the house. And I mean everyone, both of my friend groups came over. The friend D I sent the screenshot to last night called everyone, and they're all furious. Her husband M called the former friend A and let him know that everyone is cutting ties with him and that he is to leave me alone. Everyone was under the consensus that while the way they handled the name was an issue, it wasn't a deal breaker since I chose just to remove myself and let it go. However, since he chose to attack me unprovoked, simply for keeping a healthy distance, that's unforgivable. This is entirely their own reaction. I did not demand they cut ties with him. However, keep in mind that these are the people closest to me. So when I called D last night, I was simply reaching out for support and to calm down because my knee-jerk reaction was to say, if you want to go low, I'll go lower, which is very out of character for me. I made it very clear that I was not continuing any contact with A and his wife, but I was not going to dictate their friendships and love them whether they stay friends with them or not. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Did I read it right that someone told him how you felt? And now your longtime friend has an attitude towards you, even though you never told this friend how you felt. You actually distanced yourself because of the judgment towards you, and you should let him know that is the reason. And it didn't help the situation, learning about it on Facebook. Comment 2. Not the idiot. And he is an in the extreme for minimizing the pain of your loss and trying to put a time frame on your grief when it will, as you say, never really go away. This isn't how friends are supposed to act. It's bad enough to use your name without your permission, but then to follow it up this way? What a jerk. Now for the update, thanks for reading my story. So after everyone decided to cut ties with A and his wife, things got even more complicated. About a week ago, I got a call from D, who was really upset. Apparently A had been spreading lies about me to mutual friends, saying that I was the one who had been causing drama and that I was trying to turn everyone against them. This was really frustrating because I had made it clear that I didn't want to dictate anyone's friendships. D told me that A had even gone as far as to contact my ex-husband, trying to dig up dirt on me. This was a huge betrayal, and it brought up a lot of old wounds. My ex and I had a very tumultuous relationship, and the last thing I needed was for A to bring him back into my life. I felt like I was being attacked from all sides, and it was really overwhelming. Then a few days later, I got a message from another mutual friend, B. B told me that A had been telling people that I was lying about my daughter's death and that I had made up the whole story for attention. This was the final straw for me. Losing my daughter was the most painful experience of my life, and for A to use that against me was beyond cruel. I decided to confront A directly. I called him and told him that I knew what he had been saying about me and that it was unacceptable. He denied everything, of course, but I could hear the guilt in his voice. I told him that I didn't want anything to do with him or his wife anymore and that I was done with their toxic behavior. After that conversation, I felt a sense of relief, but it was short-lived. The next day, I got a call from my boss. Apparently, A had contacted my workplace and told them that I was unstable and unfit to do my job. This was a huge blow because I had worked so hard to build my career, and now it was being threatened by someone who was supposed to be my friend. My boss was understanding, but it was clear that the situation was serious. I had to take a leave of absence to deal with the fallout, and it was really difficult to explain to my kids why I wasn't going to work. They could tell that something was wrong, and it broke my heart to see them so worried. During this time, I started to reflect on my friendship with A and his wife. I realized that there had been red flags all along, but I had ignored them because I valued our friendship. A had always been judgmental and critical, and his wife had a habit of making everything about her. I had always been the one to compromise and keep the peace, but now I saw that it had been a one-sided relationship. I also started to think about my own behavior and how I had allowed myself to be treated this way. I realized that I had a pattern of putting others' needs before my own and that it was time to start setting boundaries. This was a difficult realization, but it was also empowering. I knew that I needed to take control of my life and stop letting others dictate how I felt. As I was dealing with all of this, I got a call from my therapist. I had been seeing her for a while to deal with my grief, and she had been a huge support. She reminded me that it was okay to feel hurt and angry, and that I didn't have to justify my feelings to anyone. This was a turning point for me, and I started to focus on my own healing. I also started to reconnect with some old friends who had been there for me during difficult times. They reminded me of who I was and helped me see that I deserved better. It was a slow process, but I started to feel more like myself again. Then about a week ago, I got a call from A's wife. She was crying and apologizing for everything that had happened. She said that she had no idea that A had been saying those things about me and that she was horrified by his behavior. She begged me to forgive her and to give their friendship another chance. I was torn. On one hand, I wanted to believe her and give her the benefit of the doubt. But on the other hand, I couldn't ignore the pain that they had caused me. I told her that I needed time to think and that I couldn't make any promises. Since then, I've been trying to focus on my own healing and rebuilding my life. It's been a difficult journey, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've learned a lot about myself and what I need in a friendship, and I'm determined to surround myself with people who truly care about me. Thank you for reading. Am I the idiot for refusing to fund my brother's lavish baby shower when he makes almost triple my salary? Wow, first off, thank you all so much for your responses. I honestly felt like such a bad sister with all this, but feeling so much better now. I took so many of your tips and suggestions and had a conversation with my brother about setting my firm budget and what he can expect from me and explained my situation. He was actually very understanding and apologized for any anxiety he caused me. Hopefully, he continues to be understanding. Thank you all so much. So quick facts. I, 30-year-old female, have a brother, 33-year-old male. He and his husband, 34-year-old male, are in the process of adopting 2 babies from 2 different women. My brother makes about $95,000 and his husband makes about $80,000. Both are teachers in high-paying districts. I am a single person and make about $60,000, also a teacher, and I just bought a house last year. I do not get paid over the summer, and I am in 2 weddings coming up, which also takes a lot of money. My brother and his husband are understandably very excited and want to have a baby shower to help get stuff for possibly 2 babies. One baby is due on September 26th and the other is due on October 15th. Here is where things get a bit dicey. They, mostly my brother, want to have a big fancy baby shower with possibly 100 guests or more. He said it will be like a mini wedding and even got into a fight with his mother-in-law about the cost of a venue and expecting them to shell out the money for it. She called him spoiled and he got very offended. Of course, I want to help out as much as I can. I offered to make the invitations and to help organize stuff. But as I talked with my brother, I realized just how much he is expecting me and his sister-in-law, 31-year-old female, to contribute since all the parents and themselves are paying over $6,500 for the venue, food and drink. From what I understand, he mentioned we would cover decorations, centerpieces, favors, setting up, and doing the seating chart, which is reasonable. But then he started to mention mini bottles of champagne for each person as a favor, a photo booth, and other extras like that, on top of a gift. I was told I could get the other crib or bassinet since sister-in-law is getting one for about $350. When I said all of that is a lot of money, he said, just be glad I'm not asking you to contribute to paying for the venue like I was going to originally do. Of course, I want to spoil my nieces and to help out as much as I can, and maybe it's that they just expect me to put out all this money without asking. I've also always been the money-conscious one and even helped bail my brother out of credit card debt a few years ago. Just $3,000, and he did eventually pay me back. So am I the jerk? Also, how much do siblings generally contribute towards a baby shower? Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1, not the idiot. No. Your brother having children is not your financial burden, and a big fancy baby shower like this is absolutely ridiculous. It is a baby shower, not a wedding. He's using you all to throw himself a big lavish party, and it sounds like the family has all crumbled to his whim. You need to put in boundaries and explain what you are willing to spend, and nothing more. His mother-in-law is right. He is acting like a spoiled brat. Comment 2, not the idiot. Friends and family do usually host baby showers, but those are showers they plan and organize. Typically, they are held in homes, church halls, or expensive venue rentals required. Your brother wants a massive party, which is his choice, but then he is responsible for paying. Frankly, I think it is gauche, but to each his / their own. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me through all this. So here's what's been happening over the past 3 months. After our initial conversation, things seemed to be going smoothly. My brother and his husband were busy with the adoption process, and I was trying to balance my budget while helping out with the baby shower. We had a few more discussions about the shower, and I thought we had everything sorted out. But then, about a month ago, my brother dropped a news on me. He called me one evening, sounding really stressed. He told me that one of the adoptions might not go through. The birth mother of the baby due in October was having second thoughts. This threw everything into chaos. My brother and his husband were devastated, and they were scrambling to figure out what to do. They had already invested so much emotionally and financially into this adoption, and now it was all up in the air. This news also affected the baby shower plans. My brother was adamant about going ahead with the shower as planned, but I could tell he was struggling. He didn't want to cancel or downsize the event because he felt it would be admitting defeat. I tried to be supportive, but I was also worried about the financial strain this was putting on all of us. Then, about 2 weeks ago, my brother called me again with another update. The birth mother had decided to keep the baby. My brother was heartbroken, but he was trying to stay positive for the sake of the other adoption. The baby due in September was still on track, and they were focusing all their energy on that. With one baby now out of the picture, my brother decided to scale back the baby shower. He realized that it didn't make sense to have such a big event for just one baby. This was a relief for me financially, but it also meant that all the planning we had done had to be reworked. We had to cancel some of the more extravagant plans and come up with a new, more modest celebration. In the midst of all this, I discovered something that forced me to make a hard choice. While helping my brother with some paperwork, I found out that he and his husband had taken out a substantial loan to cover the adoption costs. They hadn't told anyone about this, not even their parents. This explained why they were so insistent on having a big baby shower. They were hoping to recoup some of the costs through gifts and contributions. I was torn. On one hand, I understood why they had kept this a secret. They didn't want to worry anyone or seem like they couldn't handle the financial burden. On the other hand, I felt like they were putting a lot of pressure on me and others to help cover their expenses without being upfront about their situation. I decided to confront my brother about the loan. I told him that I understood why he had kept it a secret, but that it wasn't fair to expect so much from me and others without being honest about their financial situation. He was initially defensive, but eventually, he admitted that he was overwhelmed and didn't know how to ask for help. This conversation led to a lot of soul-searching for both of us. My brother realized that he needed to be more transparent about his financial situation and not rely so heavily on others. I realized that I needed to set clearer boundaries and not feel guilty about not being able to contribute as much as he wanted. In the end, we decided to have a smaller, more intimate baby shower with just close family and friends. It was a beautiful event, and it felt much more meaningful than the extravagant party we had originally planned. My brother and his husband were able to focus on celebrating the upcoming arrival of their baby without the added stress of financial worries. As for the fallout from all these events, there have been some lasting effects. My brother and his husband are still dealing with the emotional impact of the failed adoption. They're also working on paying off the loan, but they're doing it together and with the support of their family. I've learned to be more assertive about my own financial boundaries and not feel guilty about saying no when I need to. Looking back, I realized that a lot of the tension and stress could have been avoided if we had all been more open and honest with each other from the beginning. It's a lesson that I think we'll all carry with us moving forward. Thanks for reading and for all your support. Am I the idiot for refusing to attend family gatherings where my half-siblings treat me like an outsider? Why, 16-year-old male, have 3 older half-siblings from my mom's first marriage who are ages 25, 26, and 28. We lost our mom last year. I live with my dad, who was their stepdad for like 19 years. They never accepted me or my dad. I always knew it deep down. They kind of kept the peace for mom when she was alive, but that wasn't saying much. They still didn't really engage with me or my dad. They would visit mom and have a very forced civility with us. After she died, they made it very clear they did not appreciate my dad organizing things. They said that mom's true husband was their dad, and they were very smug when it came to light that mom organized stuff herself and intended to be buried with her first husband, my half-sibling's dad. They thought that meant they could tell us we weren't welcome at the funeral. It was also the first time in years they took pleasure in telling me I wasn't really their brother, and I was just mom's second mistake after losing their dad. The first mistake being my dad. It became a huge deal, and at the funeral, they actually said they were dividing the seating for the immediate family. Anyone on their side recognized that my dad and I were mistakes mom made and should not be there. A lot of mom's family sided with my half-siblings, which hurt. My half-siblings severed all ties with me and my dad. They have made it clear they want nothing to do with us. My grandparents are the only maternal family members who make the effort to include me and be a part of my life. Aunts and uncles will speak to me, but some only do it to make excuses for my half-siblings or to mention mom. There's a lot of family on my maternal side, and that means there are birthday parties and such. Whenever my half-siblings see me there, they make it clear I shouldn't attend. They have started yelling that the failed baby unaliving shouldn't be there. Many family members support them. My grandparents normally try to calm them down, and one aunt has called them out for treating me poorly when mom loved me too, and I'm still their blood. It's too much for me. And now that some of them are married and having their own kids, it feels like if I keep being where they're at, things will only get worse. So I told my grandparents I won't attend family gatherings anymore if my half-siblings will be there. My grandparents were really upset and told me I need to keep coming because I'm family. They said I can't punish them for my half-siblings' behavior. I said it feels like most people don't want me there, and I don't like having to deal with the things they say about me. I know my grandparents are mad, and I understand why. But I feel like I need to prioritize myself. Am I the jerk? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. Never feel guilty about excising toxic people from your life, even if they are related. No one deserves to be called a failed baby unaliving. If you want to see your grandparents, There is nothing wrong with sticking to small gatherings that you or your father organize. You do not have to go anywhere you feel unwelcome. Be polite when invited to functions that your half-siblings will attend, like, "I'm sorry, I have other plans, but I'd like to see you. Can we get lunch together next week instead?" Comment 2. Not the idiot. The fact these adults have been absolutely shredded for being so heinous to a child shows what both your grandparents and the rest of the maternal side. Tell your grandparents if family and blood are so important, then why are you allowed to be so ruthlessly bullied and mocked? Why does nobody do anything worthwhile? Given nobody will treat you like family, them included, then you have no reason to act like a family to them. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments from the last post. So a lot has happened in the past week, and it's been pretty intense. First off, I decided to stick to my guns and not attend any family gatherings where my half-siblings would be present. My grandparents were still upset, but I think they started to understand where I was coming from. They even offered to host smaller gatherings just for me and a few other family members who are supportive. That made me feel a bit better, but I still felt like I was missing out on a lot of family stuff. Then something unexpected happened. My dad got a call from one of my aunts, the one who had always been a bit more understanding. She told him that my oldest half-sibling, the 28-year-old, had been in a car accident. It wasn't life-threatening, but it was serious enough that he had to stay in the hospital for a few days. My aunt suggested that maybe this was a chance for us to show some support and possibly mend some fences. My dad was hesitant, but I felt like I needed to do something. So we decided to visit him in the hospital. When we got there, it was awkward to say the least. My half-sibling was surprised to see us, and not in a good way. He didn't say much, just kind of stared at us like we were intruding. But then something weird happened. As we were about to leave, he asked my dad to stay for a bit. I left the room, but I could hear them talking. My half-sibling was actually opening up about some stuff, like how he felt abandoned after their dad died, and how he blamed my dad for trying to replace him. It was the first time I'd ever heard him talk about his feelings like that. After that visit, things started to change a bit. My half-sibling didn't suddenly become my best friend or anything, but he did start to acknowledge me more. He even sent me a text a few days later, just a simple "thanks for coming by." It wasn't much, but it felt like a huge step. Meanwhile, my grandparents were still trying to get me to come to family gatherings. They even organized a small get-together at their house and invited only the family members who had been supportive. It was nice, but it still felt like something was missing. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being forced to choose between my own well-being and my family. Then my dad dropped the news. He told me that he had been thinking about moving to a different city. He said he felt like we both needed a fresh start, away from all the drama and negativity. At first, I was totally against it. I didn't want to leave my school, my friends, and the few family members who were supportive. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Maybe a fresh start was exactly what we needed. So we started looking into it. My dad found a job opportunity in a city about 2 hours away, and I started researching schools in the area. It was scary, but also kind of exciting. I felt like I was finally taking control of my life, instead of just reacting to what my half-siblings were doing. As we were making plans, I got another text from my oldest half-sibling. This time, he asked if we could meet up for coffee. I was shocked but agreed. When we met, he apologized for how he and the others had treated me. He said he realized that holding on to all that anger wasn't helping anyone, especially not him. He even admitted that he missed having a family, even if it wasn't the one he originally wanted. That conversation changed everything for me. It made me realize that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for us to be a family again. Not the same as before, but something new. I told him about our plans to move, and he actually seemed supportive. He said he understood why we needed to do it and wished us the best. So that's where things stand now. We're still planning the move, but it feels less like running away and more like moving forward. My relationship with my half-siblings is still complicated, but at least there's a glimmer of hope. And my grandparents, well, they're still upset, but I think they'll come around eventually. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.